Welcome to a special episode of the Sports Enthusiast podcast. We'll be doing an MLB postseason special, so that's the only sport we're going to talk about today. I'm your host, Aaron Randak, joined by
McGee.
Ashton, McConnell.
This is our third episode. We're still working out the kinks, but we're getting better, hopefully. You guys want to get right into it?
You betcha.
Don't forget to follow our social media, our Instagram and Twitter.
Yep. Instagram is at the Sports Enthusiast, and Twitter is at SportsENTPod. Anything else? All right. Start with obviously baseball. Pete Alonso breaks the Major League Baseball home run record. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, after the video where he had his jersey off, does he really look like he can do that? I think he's got to be tested for steroids.
You're joking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's an absolute
Young
monster.
star.
They got a future. The fact that he made more money in the home run derby than his actual salary just amazes me.
Yeah, it's a robbery.
Yeah, it's the Mets, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
They don't make good decisions.
That's true. Cubs part ways with Joe Madden. I doubt you guys have any thoughts on that.
What I will say is Joe Madden had a better time in Tampa than he did in Chicago.
Just what are the Cubs doing?
I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Joe Madden, but
I like him. He's funny to watch.
But I think he deserved to get fired, though, because, I mean, you can't end a season like that.
Yeah, but he looks goofy with the glasses and the white hair and everything. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he does. Me and Ashton's Twins beat the Yankees in the home run record, 307-306. Funny fact about that, the Tigers and Marlins hit a total of 295. So, yeah, I guess tank for, I don't know who the top prospect is this year, but they did a pretty good job of it. Pirates let Clint Hurdle go, and Justin Verlander joins a 3,000 strikeout club. It's a pretty exclusive club, too, so it's a good pitcher. All right, I'm just going to hand it off to Lucas if you want for the MLB regular season leaders.
Alrighty. For batting average, we had Tim Anderson at .335. On base percentage was Mike Trout at .438. Slugging, Christian Yelich, .671. OPS, Christian Yelich again at 1.100. Home runs, Pete Alonso at 53. RBIs, Anthony Rendon at 126. I'll let Ashton finish him off.
Wait, what?
Go for it. War. Start a war.
Okay, so Cody Bellinger was the leader at 8.9, and then ERA was Hyun Jin Ryu with a 2.32. I probably butchered his name.
It's Hyunjin Ryu, but you tried your
It's
best.
Ryu, not Rue. Okay.
Whip was Justin Verlander with a .803.
Which is phenomenal, by the way, for those wondering.
Hits per 9 innings, Justin Verlander led with 5.5. Strikeouts through 9 innings, Garrett Cole was the leader with 13.7. Walks per 9 innings.
Hyunjin Ryu.
He led with 1.1 strikeouts in the year. Garrett Cole was the leader with 316. Saves was Kirby Yates with 41. Innings pitched was Justin Verlander with 223. And strikeouts per walk ratio was Max Scherzer with 7.3. And fielding independent pitching was Max Scherzer with a 2.45. And now I'll give it off to Aaron for the awards.
Just a little thing on FIP, which is fielding independent pitching. Most people probably don't know what that is, but it's just an advanced stat that people in the baseball world like to use to kind of better determine ERA, so it's not as defense dependent. Let's get into our MVP conversation, starting with the AL. Lucas, I guess you're going to start.
All right, I got 3 people. In order, Mike Trout, Alex Bregman. Be ready for the world record pronunciation errors in this episode from me. And Xander Bogaerts.
Okay, just for everyone listening, Shaq is not the biggest baseball fan. Oh, Lucas, excuse me. We call him Shaq. Yeah, so I'm going to call him stupid a lot this episode. Ashton, give us your top 3.
Okay, so at 3, I have Rafael Devers. At 2, I have Alex Bregman. And number 1, Mike Trout.
I did a top 5 because I'm an overachiever. At 5, I have Justin Verlander. 4, I have George Springer. 3, I actually have Nelson Cruz. 2, Alex Bregman, and obviously Mike Trout at number 1. Get into our NL. You can start off again, Lucas.
All right. Number 1, Christian Yelich. Number 2, Cody Bellinger. And number 3, Anthony Rendon.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the right top 3, obviously.
At 3, I have Christian Yelich. At 2, I want to put him at 1, but I think the fans are going to support who number 1 is. I have Anthony Rendon at 2 and then Bellinger at 1.
I again did my top 5 for most of these. At 5, I have Ketel Marte at the Diamondbacks. He's having a great year. Really underrated player. Breakout year this year. 4, I have Ronald Acuna. He was 3 steals away from going 40-40, which is crazy that he still finished 4th in the MVP race, and he probably will through the writers' vote as well. At 3, I have Yelich. Great year. Sucks he got hurt. 2, I have Cody Bellinger. Great year for him. And number 1, I have Anthony Rendon. He's easily the most underrated player in baseball, in my opinion. Right now, I'd say out of everyone that's healthy, he's probably the best pure hitter in the game.
For the AL Cy Young, I have number 3, Charlie Morton. Number 2, Justin Verlander. Number 1, Garrett Cole.
Okay.
And I say that with confidence. Garrett Cole had a lot of strikeouts this year, and I do think he's better than Verlander this year. Verlander's obviously going to end up having the better career, but I think Cole had a better year. He deserves Cy Young Award more.
Okay, so at 3, I have Shane Bieber. 2, I have Garrett Cole, and then 1, I have Verlander.
This is just sad to say. At 3, I have Zach Greinke, because I know he got traded, but he did end up in the AL, so I'm putting him as an AL pitcher. And 2, I have Garrett Cole, and 1, I have Justin Verlander. It's so sad to me that the top 3 are all on the same team. But just to talk about the Garrett Cole Justin Verlander debate, you can't go wrong either way. Verlander's going to start game 1, so AJ Hinch obviously trusts a little bit more in Verlander, but Garrett Cole's stuff is the best in the league probably.
And Verlander does have more experience.
Absolutely.
He's a little older, so I could see that playing into it. For my NL Cy Young, I got at number 3, I have Jacob deGrom.
Number 3.
Big Girl.
Number 2, I have Hyun-Jin Ryu.
Okay.
And at number 1, I have Max Scherzer.
Okay, so for my Cy Young, at 3, I have Jack Flaherty.
Let's go!
At 2, I have Hyun-Jin Ryu, and number 1, I have Jacob deGrom.
So I did my top 5 as usual. Number 5, I have Walker Buehler of the Dodgers. Electric stuff. Great pitcher. 4, Steven Strasburg. A very similar pitcher to Walker Buehler, both righties. Just electric stuff. Number 3, I have Hyun-Jin Ryu, more of a pitch-to-contact guy, but he has had an amazing year, led the league in ERA. Number 2, I have Max Scherzer, led the league in FIP. And number 1, I have Jacob deGrom, who gets screwed because he's on the Mets.
For AL Reliever of the Year, I have number 3, Alex Colomé. Number 2, Robert Osuna. And number 1, my boy, one that I've actually seen play, Aroldis Chapman.
Okay, so 3, I have Liam Hendricks. At 2, I have Taylor Rogers, and then 1, Aroldis Chapman and his cannon of an arm.
Yeah, I actually did not go try hard on this one. At number 3, I have Ken Giles of the Blue Jays, who has had a great bounce back year. He had a bad year last year, but looked amazing this year. Number 2, I have Chapman of the Yankees. And number 1, it might be a little biased, but I have Taylor Rogers of the Twins. The reason I have him there is because the Twins rely so heavily on him, especially in these late game situations. And at certain scenarios, they put him in the 7th inning to close out a game, which I don't think many other players in baseball can do. The only guy that's kind of similar to that is Josh Hader of the Brewers.
And speaking of Josh Hader, I got him as number 3 for the NL Reliever of the Year. Number 2, I have Kirby Yates, and number 1, I have Kenley Jansen. I have that because he's got the background to having it, and I didn't want to be the obvious pick of Kirby Yates.
That's disrespectful to Kirby Yates and Josh Hader.
Alright, so my number 3 is Scott Olberg. My number 2 is Kirby Yates, and number 1, Josh Hader, even though yesterday in the wild card game, we'll talk about that later, but yeah.
For my NL reliever of the year, number 3, I have Felipe Vasquez of the Pirates. Not a good name to say right now, to be honest.
That is a gutsy name to say with all the
yeah,
stuff that's come out. He wouldn't win the award.
I did mine straight off baseball. I did not do it based on off the field because, what's came out about him, it's not looking very good. Number 2, I have Josh Hader, who I mentioned earlier, of the Brewers, who is their Taylor Rogers type of guy. He's amazing. I mean, the dude's got electric stuff. He throws weird stat. I think he leads the league in fastball percentage. So yeah, you're gonna go up expecting fastball, and you're gonna get it, and you can't hit it. And then number 1, I have Kirby Yates. He led the league in saves. He had a super low ERA. I'm not sure exactly what it was. The Padres, a team that a lot of people had hopes for this year, but once Fernando Tatis went down, they kind of went in the toilet. So, yeah.
AL Rookie of the Year, I got Yordan Alvarez of the Astros.
At 3?
No, at 1.
Oh, okay.
I didn't fill anyone else out
Okay.
because I've
I've
never seen any of the other guys play, so I didn't want to be that guy that was like,
Okay.
oh, this. Like, I only did guys I've seen.
Okay, so I did 3 for the Rookie of the Years. At 3, I got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. At 2, I have Luis Arias, and then 1, I have Yordan Alvarez.
Number 3, I have Brandon Lau of the Tampa Bay Rays. They do have someone else named Lowe on their team, so that's kind of confusing. The Rays are kind of another surprise team this year that most people really didn't see, and now they're in the postseason. Number 2, I have Luis Arias of the Twins, who is out of nowhere. He was, I believe, the Twins' 17th best prospect when he got called up early this year, and he's hitting .340 with an amazing on-base percentage. The dude can hit the all fields better than probably anyone in baseball at this point. I believe he has more opposite field hits than pull hits, which you don't even see anymore. And then number 1, Yordan Alvarez of the Astros. He is destroying the league. And Shaq keeps coughing up a storm over there, so you doing all right there, pal?
I hope to live, but we'll see how this goes.
Okay.
NL Rookie of the Year, obviously Pete Alonso.
Yep.
So for my top 3, at 3 I had Fernando Tatis Jr. At 2 I had Mike Soroka, and then number 1 Pete Alonso.
Yeah. Number 3, I had Brian. I have Brian Reynolds here, but I actually completely forgot about Mike Soroka, so I'm going to change that. And I'm going to put Fernando Tatis at 3 from the Padres, who, when he was healthy, man, I would have had him ahead of Pete Alonso for Rookie of the Year. He was so fun to watch. His baseball IQ and intelligence is just amazing. And not to mention his skill at the plate is great. You watch him at shortstop, he reminds you of almost a more polished version of Javi Baez. And I say more polished even as a rookie. He's one of those guys that's amazing to watch. 2, I would have Mike Soroka of the Braves. I completely forgot about him. So it's kind of off the dome. But, yeah, he had a great year, rookie year for the Braves. He kind of led that pitching staff into somewhere that they needed an ace, and I think they got one now. And then number 1, Peter Alonso hit 53 homers for the Mets. Unfortunately, he is with the Mets, so yeah, hopefully he gets a better team sometime. But it'll take 6 years of MLB service to become a free agent, so that'll be a while.
AL Manager of the Year, Kevin Cash of the Rays. At number 3 and number 2, Aaron Boone of the Yankees. And number 1, Rocco Baladelli.
That's the wrong pronunciation, but continue.
Don't care, I remember him as an outfielder for the Rays. Back in MLB 2K7. Fun fact of the day. Yeah, I was much bigger in baseball when I was younger, so I'm going to keep drawing people back to back when I remember them. But he's the manager of the Twins now, and he got AL Manager of the Year. I like what they did this year. I feel like they had a really good year, and I'm going to give him credit because that's how this award works.
All right, so my number 3, I have Kevin Cash of the Rays. My number 2 is A.J. Hinch of the Astros, and then number 1, I have Rocco Baldelli, which the fact that he was able to get 100-plus wins out of this team after last year just amazes me. It kind of helps with the free agents they got too.
Ashton, I apologize. I'm going to step on your feet here with absolutely no knowledge, but the Yankees hit 306 home runs this year, and you couldn't even give courtesy to Aaron Boone enough to give him a top 3 Manager of the Year race.
It's the Yankees.
Okay, I don't really care about Aaron Boone. I'm saying, how is A.J. Hinch in your top 3?
Astros had a good record. I can kind of see it.
Have you seen their roster?
I don't care. You gotta assume that he brought him in.
If I was the manager of that team, they would win 100 games.
Well,
I'm very
good for you. You're not. He gave him second. I don't agree with not giving Boone top 3, but still, come on, Aaron.
All right, let's get to mine. AJ Hinch is the top 3 for me. Number 3, I have Bob Melvin of the A's. I don't know how you guys didn't have him in your guys' top 3. He's one of those guys that he's a great manager. The A's seem to prove everybody wrong every year. Everyone kind of thinks they're going to be down in the dumps, and they're in the playoffs this year. Tonight they're going to be playing the wild card game. So when you're listening to this, they could be gone. But number 2, I have Aaron Boone of the Yankees, as Lucas mentioned. Really good manager, and the Yankees are having a great year. And number 1, I do have Rocco Baldelli. I don't think it's necessarily like a landslide number 1 for him, as we all have it. But I think he proved that he was a good manager and a good hire. And obviously the Twins won over 100 games, which is, I don't even know if the last time we did that in franchise history. So pretty impressive.
NL Manager of the Year, I got Brian Snitker of the Braves. I think the Braves had a pretty good year.
They did.
I don't have much justification for number 3. Number 2, I have Craig Counsell of the Brewers. I watched him play back in the day also. He was in my time. And obviously number 1, without a doubt, Mike Shildt of the Cardinals.
No comment. All right.
Okay, so my number 3, this is kind of like the AJ Hinch thing. I have Dave Roberts.
I don't think that's as bad.
Okay. I forget, can non-playoff teams still?
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 2, I have Mickey Callaway of the Mets. How he turned that team around after a rough start.
That was impressive, yeah. I'm not going to disagree with.
And number 1, I have Mike Shildt of the Cardinals.
There we go.
Question: how is Craig Counsell not in your top 3 after the Brewers going like what?
9
9
and
and
1
2.
after losing Yelich?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. Number 3, I do have Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. Reason is, I mean, he's just a good. I feel like his lineup construction is very good. He called up guys like Gavin Lux, which is genius. I mean, Gavin Lux is a stud. Number 2, I have Mike Shildt of the Cardinals. I don't know. The Cardinals had a good year, not a great year. There's a reason why he's not number 1. I don't think necessarily he did the best job of manager that he could have, but he did an alright job, which got him second. And then number 1, I have Craig Counsell of the Brewers. I think this should be a landslide win for him. With the Brewers going whatever the record was after Yelich. It was amazing. They didn't end up winning last night, unfortunately for them. But I think Craig Counsell is an absolutely amazing manager.
All right, for Platinum Glove, number 3, I have Max Kepler.
By the way, Platinum Glove, for everyone wondering, is just the best defender in all of baseball.
Thanks for cutting me off, Aaron.
Yep, no problem.
Max Kepler, Twins outfielder. Anthony Rizzo, the Cubs first baseman. I grew up where we had good first baseman where I was from, and he had really high field percentage, and that's just how I base good fielders now. If I can see someone with that high of a no errors field percentage kind of thing. So number 1, I got Paul Goldschmidt, who proved that his contract is still complete shit, but hey, he tried.
You see, this is one of those times in the podcast where I call Shaq absolutely stupid, because you don't put 2 first basemen in your top 3 for Platinum Glove. You just don't. I'm sorry. You just don't.
I'll get you back next week. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Alright, so my top 3, at 3, I have Kevin Kiermaier. And then at 2, I have Max Kepler. And then 1, I have Ronald Acuna Jr.
Ronald Acuna at 1. That's very interesting to me.
He just, every time I see him, he's always showing 100% effort, and it seems like he can just make the big plays when needed.
True. My number 3 is Kevin Kiermaier of the Rays. He is just awesome to watch. He'll rob home runs every day if he wants to. He's just one of those guys that you might want to buy a ticket to watch someday. Number 2, I do have Byron Buxton, even though he's hurt. He's one of those effort guys. You love to see him play. Fastest man in baseball, no doubt about it. He just needs to stay healthy. That's his problem, because he keeps running into walls and getting his shoulder torn up. And number 1, I don't know if you guys have even heard of this guy, Victor Robles from the Nationals, rookie this year. I actually, at the start of the year, I picked him for NL Rookie of the Year, just kind of out of the blue. He leads the league in defensive runs saved from an outfielder, which is amazing. I think he leads by like 8 runs, which is just crazy. And the Nationals had a great second half of the year, so that's why he's my Platinum Glove winner.
My AL Comeback Player of the Year. Catcher for the Yankees, Gary Sanchez.
So mine is pitcher Lucas Giolito of the White Sox.
Comeback player of the year? Okay. Mine's Gary Sanchez of the Yankees as well. Had a great comeback year. Kraken. He's always been a force in that lineup. One of the best catchers in baseball, no doubt about it. Got some serious pop.
NL Comeback Player of the Year, I have Sonny Gray, Reds right relief pitcher.
He was definitely in conversation for me too.
I have Josh Donaldson after his late struggles towards the end of his Blue Jays run, able to bounce back in Atlanta.
I also have Josh Donaldson. Last year was not looking good for him. He was kind of down the whole year. I believe he was hurt a little bit, and now with the Braves, he's kind of just been electrified all of a sudden because 1 year, $20 million. I believe that he's almost earned a multi-year deal, which is kind of the goal in baseball nowadays.
My AL Silver Slugger at catcher is also my AL Comeback Player of the Year. I have Gary Sanchez of the Yankees.
I also have Gary Sanchez.
Well, okay, I'm an overachiever, as you all know. I did my top three. My number 3 is Tom Murphy. I'm not going to comment much about him. Number 2, Gary Sanchez, as you guys mentioned. And number 1, Mitchell Garver. For those of you that don't know, my love affair with Mitch Garver goes right deep. He is one of my favorite players in baseball because he is amazing to watch. The dude destroys left-handed pitching. He's the best hitting catcher in baseball against left-handed pitching, no doubt about it. I believe with OPS of catchers that caught over 80 games, he had the 12th best season in MLB history. So, yeah, you guys can comment on that if you like.
As a Twins fan, I love seeing Mitch Garver improve, and I think at one point when some analysis of the MLB was talking about catchers, they mentioned like Gary Sanchez was the only one with 20-plus homers at some point of the year, but Mitch Garver was right up there with Gary Sanchez, but he was completely forgotten.
He gets absolutely no recognition out of that catcher spot.
Yeah, I got no comments. AL Silver Slugger. At first base, I have Yordan Alvarez of the Astros.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could argue he's a first baseman.
I have his teammate, Yuli Gurriel.
I have Yuli Gurriel at 3. I have Carlos Santana at 2 of the Indians, who we haven't mentioned yet. Indians kind of sucks for him. I would have liked to see him in there. And number 1, I have Matt Olson of the A's winning Silver Slugger at first base. One of those players on the A's that kind of gets no credit, gets overlooked. So, yeah.
My AL Silver Slugger at second base is one of my favorite players in baseball. Another one I've seen actually play, Jose Altuve of the Astros.
I've seen him too.
Okay, I have DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees.
So my top 3 is kind of skewed. I have Jose Altuve at 3. And I have Gleyber Torres of the Yankees at 2, simply because he is listed as a second baseman. Sometimes, I mean, with Aaron Boone, he has a lot of lineup flexibility. He'll play DJ at 3rd, Gleyber at 2nd. He can play Gleyber at short if Didi's out of the game. So they have a very flexible lineup there. And then number 1, I have DJ LeMahieu, so I have 2 Yankees for my Silver Slugger at second base, which is very depressing to me. Yeah, let's just move on to that one.
My AL Silver Slugger at third base is Alex Bregman.
I also have him.
Yeah, Bregman's the only choice. Number 3, I have Rafael Devers, the Red Sox. Having a great year. Candidate for most improved player for anyone that has that. Number 2, I do have Miguel Sano, biased Twins fan. Dude hits bombs. Love to see him hit. He's hitting 480 shots all over the place. And then the number 1 is Bregman. Nobody should argue that. MVP candidate, no doubt about it.
At shortstop, I have Xander Bogaerts. Love butchering that guy's
Close
name.
enough.
I love butchering his name. I like him a lot. I never learned how to say his name, but I have seen him. I do like him. He's a good player. I think he's more than just a slugger, too. I like his fielding percentage and everything.
Okay, first it's Bogarts, and he is also my Silver Slugger.
My number 3, I have Tim Anderson, who led the league in average, so I think he's got to be in the conversation. Number 2, I have Jorge Polanco with the Twins. Another Twins biased guy here. And I do have Xander Bogaerts at 1. He's the only choice there, in my opinion.
For my outfielders, my AL Silver Slugger outfielders, all three of them coming at you. I got Mookie Betts of the Red Sox, George Springer of the Astros, and obviously Mike Trout.
Okay, so my 3 are Mike Trout of the Angels, George Springer of the Astros, and his teammate Michael Brantley.
Once again, as you guys know, I am an overachiever, so I did my top 9. My third team is Silver Slugger would be Aaron Judge of the Yankees, Trey Mancini of the Orioles, and Austin Meadows of the Tampa Bay Rays. My second team would be Yordan Alvarez of the Astros, Max Kepler of the Twins, and Michael Brantley of the Astros. And my first team, the ones who would actually get the award, is Mookie Betts, George Springer, and Mike Trout, exactly like Lucas's.
Wow, that makes me feel smart. My AL Silver Slugger DH, because that is an award. I did someone who was listed DH, and I think these guys will like me for it. I have Nelson Cruz of the Twins.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
It's not for debate.
Yeah, I mean, I have him, so, I mean, smart man.
I did my top 3. I have JD Martinez as a DH. I think he plays there mostly, as well as Jorge Soler in second. And then Nelson Cruz first. Nobody should debate that. Hit over 40 homers. He had over 1,000 OPS, which is insane for a 39-year-old. Continue.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that guy's 39. He's been doing it for a while. Because he's one of those guys that I can actually say that I watched, like back in the day when I was really big in baseball. And he's still going, and it's nice to see him going at this rate. I hope he stays for a couple more years yet.
Yeah.
Maybe leave the Twins, though, because Twins suck.
No. We'll keep him. We have a team option next year for $14 million or something like that, so we'll keep him for sure.
My NL Silver Slugger catcher is Wilson Ramos of the Mets.
Okay.
Go Mets! They have 2 good players, sorry.
I have Wilson Contreras of the Cubs.
Cubs suck.
For me, I have Wilson Contreras at 3rd of the Cubs. He was hurt for a little bit of the year, so that's why I have him so low. Surprisingly, number 2, I have Yasmani Grandal of the Brewers. He actually had a great year. I believe he led the NL catchers and homers. Number 1, I have JT Realmuto of the Phillies. He didn't have necessarily a standout year because last year his year was probably even better, but I still think he deserves that Silver Slugger at catcher. He hit for the highest average in the NL, and I believe he had the highest on-base percentage.
For my NL Silver Slugger at first base, there should be no debate
I think
whatsoever.
there should be plenty of debate here.
Wait,
Pete Alonso,
What?
Mets.
I have Freddie Freeman.
I don't know if you've heard of some of these other guys.
Well, I know Freddie Freeman had a good year. I like Alonso's home run numbers, I'm sorry.
For number 3, I have Josh Bell of the Pirates. Had a breakout year this year. One of those most improved candidates. I do have Freddie Freeman at 2 of the Braves. He's just so consistent. He might be one of the most consistent hitters in baseball. His swing is just so fluid. It's so fun to watch. I do have Pete Alonso at 1. I think it's close, Lucas. But yeah, the 53 home runs speaks for itself as a rookie. That's extremely impressive, and you don't see that very often. In fact, you've never seen it.
My NL Silver Slugger second baseman is Ozzie Albies of the Diamondbacks. He had a really good batting.
The Diamondbacks?
Wait, what?
He plays for the Braves.
Must have got traded.
He didn't get
Braves.
traded. He played there for multiple years. This is one of those Shaq is stupid moments.
I'm glad I'm here for the comedy.
For those of you that go to our school, you know that Shaq will have these comments a lot. Continue.
That happens. He had a good average this year. I don't want to talk anymore. Ashton, you're up.
Mine is Ketel Marte.
For number 3, I have Keeson Hura of the Brewers, rookie. He had a really great rookie year. He ended up hitting cleanup in the wild card game, which is actually very impressive for a young middle infielder. Number 2, I have Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves, Lucas. He actually, I think last year he had a slightly better year, but this year he still remained consistent. Second half of the year was a lot better than the first. That's all I really got to say about that. And then number 1, I do have Ketel Marte of the Diamondbacks. I don't think there should be any debate here. Lucas, you are dead wrong about Albies winning it.
I had I had your guy as a center fielder, so might be.
Okay.
Might be.
That makes sense. He does play outfield a lot. So yeah, Ketel Marte, he should be in the MVP conversation if it wasn't for those top three guys, the Rendon, Bellinger, and Yelich. Yeah, he's absolutely having a breakout year, and he's fun to watch. Got a great swing.
My NL Silver Slugger third baseman is Suarez from the Reds.
Yeah, Eugenio Suarez, great year.
I have Anthony Rendon. I don't know how you can even question him. He's in the MVP race. I mean, how can you even question that?
Yep. I actually have Nolan Arenado at 3. Ashton, you might have him at 2, probably, if you had to do your top 3. Nolan's just, I mean, he's a great hitter. I do think the Coors Field factor does play into it. That's kind of why I have him lower. Number 2, I do have Eugenio Suarez of the Reds. What do you have? 49 homers. Relatively unknown name coming into this year, but he's really shown out and proved that he's one of the better hitting third basemen in baseball. And then number 1, there should be no debate, in my opinion, Lucas. Anthony Rendon. My NL MVP, actually. The dude just had a monster year. 1100 or near 1100 OPS. Led the NL in batting average. Led the NL in RBIs. Absolutely amazing player.
Now I'm going to show that I'm a Cardinals fan. My NL Silver Slugger at shortstop is Paul DeJong.
De Jong. Not De Jong. There's no, the J is like weird.
I can have fun saying his name however I want. I'm the Cardinals fan. Get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Mine is Trey Turner of the Nats.
Interesting. I have Trey Turner at 3 of the Nationals. I have Javi Baez at 2.
Oh,
And then I have Trevor Story at 1 from the Rockies. I know I said the Coors Field factor does play into Nolan Arenado. I also think it plays into Trevor Story, but I think he does still deserve that Silver Slugger award at shortstop.
I did have Story at second for the record.
Okay.
Someone give me my credit.
Would you like a cookie?
I would love a cookie. Damn.
Okay.
NL Silver Slugger, my 3 outfielders, I got Cody Bellinger, Christian Yelich, and Ronald Acuna Jr.
Close enough.
Thank you. I still want that cookie.
Go get it.
I have nothing much to say. I am the same as Lucas. They're all phenomenal players.
Once again, I am the overachiever here. I did my top 9. My third team would be Jock Peterson, Bryce Harper, and Nick Castellanos. Castellanos was traded in the middle of the year. I'm putting him in the NL because that's the team he ended up on. Bryce Harper, most people kind of hated on him for getting that contract, but he had a decent year. He didn't have an amazing year, but it definitely was not, bad by any stretch of the imagination. And then I have Jock Peterson in the third team as well, who's one of those guys that most people don't talk about. He was fun to watch in the home run derby, and he's up there in homers in the NL this year. My second team, I have Jeff McNeil of the Mets, Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies, and Juan Soto of the Nationals. Jeff McNeil started amazing. He started on fire, had a 400 average to start off the year. He did cool down towards the second half, but I think he still proved that he was worth that second team honors. Another player I have in there is Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies. I'm kind of harping on Rockies players now. He had a great month of June, where he was pretty much the best player in baseball. He has cooled down, but he still remains he had some gaudy numbers this year. And then I have Juan Soto of the Nationals, who I love the guy. He's amazing. Second-year player. He's so fun to watch. He's got such a good swing. And last night, he had the game-winning hit. And then for my first team, obviously no one's going to really debate this. Acuna, Yelich, Bellinger. I don't think there's much to say there.
My Silver Slugger pitcher in the NL, Junior Guerra. He's a reliever for the Brewers. He had a high average with high at-bats. I love this award. I want this award. I just feel like it's a high prestige award because you're playing in the NL and you're able to hit the ball. I don't know. This award has been big to me since I started playing the MLB baseball games.
For me, I just had Jacob deGrom. I mean, I don't really know who you're going to choose at pitch.
Contrary to Lucas's beliefs, this award absolutely means nothing to these pitchers. But I did do a top 3. So at number 3, I have Brandon Woodruff of the Brewers. I'm not going to go into detail. Number 2, I had German Marquez of the Rockies. And at number 1, I had Jacob deGrom of the Nationals.
2 teams, that don't really matter.
Oh, yeah. we're just gonna go over two teams that we wanted to see in October but couldn't quite make it, as we're gonna get into our division league previews, division series previews. Excuse me. Here in a second. So, Ashton, we can start with you.
So for my AL teams, I just had the Indians and Red Sox. Both have a lot of talent. Just sucks we couldn't see them. And then NL, the Mets and the Phillies. The Phillies have all-around exciting talent. I mean, they got Bryce Harper that just attracts crowds all over the world. And then the Mets with their incredible pitching. That would have been fun to see against a team like the Dodgers or whatever.
I would love to see their bullpen blow some more leads too.
Well, obviously Shaq came unprepared. I only did two teams. They're both AL. I got the Red Sox. I like their talent this year, but they didn't seem to make it. And the Indians had a solid year, but a crappy ending.
Aaron also came unprepared to this one. He did the Red Sox and Indians from the AL as well, but he will go off the dome because he's a smart guy and say the Phillies from the NL. Like I said, JT Realmuto was my NL Silver Slugger catcher. Bryce Harper would have been on my third team for Silver Slugger outfielders. They're a fun team to watch. Sucks Andrew McCutcheon got hurt earlier in the year. For the AL, I did have the Red Sox and Indians. The Red Sox, man, I wish I could have seen them in the playoffs. Mookie Betts is electric, along with Devers, Bogarts. It just sucks that their pitching was absolutely atrocious this year because they didn't want to spend money on it this offseason. And my other team would be the Indians. They've been good for so long. Kind of sucks to see their reign end, but it's good for the Twins because they're going to be gone pretty soon because Lindor probably won't get paid, sadly.
Good.
Just a little fact here. The Indians actually average 8,000 less fans per game than the Twins. That's a lot. That's like 30% less. Let's get into it. Playoff baseball. This is what we've all been waiting for. This is my favorite time of year, actually. This and Christmas. They're pretty close. First series, let's go. Let's go Braves versus Cardinals. We can start. Whoever wants to take it.
Obviously, the Cardinals win.
Okay.
This is gonna happen in 5 games, thanks to the great Yadier Molina. I'm in a huge favoritism moment here, personally.
That's fine.
I'll say that right now. The Braves, they'll need to score. The Cardinals have scored quite a bit in the last few games I've seen because I only track box scores because I don't watch baseball anymore.
Good to see for a sports podcast.
Yeah.
Sports.
Next year, I swear, on the Sports Enthusiast podcast, I will watch some baseball. And I'll watch some postseason baseball so Aaron can't call me a dumbass anymore.
Oh, he still will.
For the Cardinals, they need to get past their pitching. I haven't liked their pitching yet this year, other than Jack Flaherty and Carlos Martinez. I have not seen much. Strengths and weaknesses.
I'm just going to cut you off here. You didn't even mention your postseason Game 1 starter from last week and your favorite pitchers from this year, but you mentioned Jack Flaherty. Interesting.
I love Adam Wainwright to death. And I said last week that the reason I wanted to start him was because of his experience, but he's getting seasoned like a fine steak, if you ask me.
Okay.
Strengths and weaknesses for the Braves. Strengths is I like their pitching. I like Freddie Freeman. Mainly Soroka. And,
I'm sorry. I'm just dying over here. Continue.
And their weaknesses, I didn't like their depth this year, personally. And for my strengths and weaknesses for the Cardinals, obviously the Cardinals have the prestige. They've been good for forever, obviously. They've only had a couple down years. If we're actually being serious with it, they have been towards the top of the NL for a while now.
Yep.
So I do think that helps. It kind of carries a traditional feeling to it. Their hitting and fielding hasn't been terrible this year, but I don't see star power out of them, and I think that will catch up to them soon. Personally,
Just not now.
yeah, I think they get through this series.
Okay.
I think they get through all of this, but we'll get to that. X Factor players, the Braves X Factor players, obviously Freddie Freeman.
X Factor. Oh, he's a super duper duper superstar.
Well, then we have different definitions of X Factors.
We do, for sure.
My X Factor is the guy who's going to be doing what needs to be done.
My X Factor is a guy that you don't expect to be doing great.
Then all my X Factors are going to sound terrible to you.
That's fine. That's fine.
But it's how I interpreted the word.
We don't share notes, so this is one of those moments that we're going to have.
Yeah, I'm glad that it took us to episode 3 to get here.
Mm-hmm.
For the Cardinals, obviously I got my boy Paul DeJong.
Oh,
there you go.
I thought you were going to say
DeJong. It's more fun.
No, not him. The other
I thought you were
Paul.
gonna say Goldie. The Goldie's one.
Oh, do not get... Okay, well, I'll get through my quick rant on Paul Goldschmidt.
Go for it. We got time.
The reasoning behind me not liking Paul Goldschmidt is because he's the reason I didn't watch any Cardinals baseball this year. I got news on that contract, and I actually did punch a hole in my wall.
Well, based on his last few years, I would have paid him the same thing, to be honest.
Okay, but the Cardinals didn't need to give away a big contract. That's why they let Pujols go, which was a great decision. Might I also add, I was actually an Angels fan until Pujols went to the Angels, and that year I became a Cardinals fan. Not at all because of Pujols, but it's the greatest decision I ever made because that 10-year deal was horrible.
Can I throw some facts on you quickly?
Please do.
So, there's no salary cap in baseball. There's only a luxury tax limit.
Yes.
The Cardinals were still under the luxury tax
I'm
limit
aware.
with the signing of Paul Goldschmidt.
I'm aware, but I still don't want him to... I just hated it, okay? It looks horrible. I don't like Paul Goldschmidt at all. I didn't like him in Arizona. It's just not good. Don't get me started on him. I've always hated him. But I did pick him as being a good fielder this year as a hint of optimism.
Did you pick him as your
I did, but it's more of an optimism thing. I'm trying to tell myself he's good so I can actually get through a playoff baseball game.
Oh, whoa! Whoa, news here. Walker Buehler's going to start game 1 for the Dodgers versus Patrick Corbin. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
Walker Buehler's one of those guys that, he's fun.
Yeah, I figured Scherzer and Strasburg would start.
And
after.
Corbin's the obvious next guy there. But yeah, that's some big news. Picking Buehler over Ryu and Kershaw. I'm going with the righty.
I can see why. I think part of it must be that they're like expecting to win this first game handily, and they're just going to try and save them.
I think actually what it is because they want Buehler to pitch twice in the series because if you look at the top of the Nationals lineup, you're going to get Turner batting first and you get Rendon batting third. They have Eaton batting second, who's kind of a average to below average hitter, and then the only guy you really got to worry about in that lineup, lefty-righty, is Juan Soto. So that's why I think they're going with the righty right away, so then you can have the righty-righty matchup against Trey Turner and Anthony Rendon.
All right, so my turn for the Braves cards. Sorry, Cardinals fan, but I have the Braves winning in 4 games. I think the series MVP will be Ronald Acuna Jr. He's just been phenomenal for that team. And so now for the keys for each team, for the Braves, I would say don't make mistakes. The Cardinals are very experienced, so if you make one mistake, they could take advantage of that. And then for the Cardinals, don't let any of the Braves' bats get hot. I mean, with Acuna, Donaldson, Freeman, Markakis, just you name it, they have a lot of bats. Now for strengths and weaknesses for the Braves, I would say that one strength is their offense. I just mentioned their weapons that they have with the bats, and then I would say their starting pitching is pretty good for them. But their weakness is their bullpen. I mean, they made trades at the trade deadline, and it hasn't really helped too much. I mean, it's helped a little bit, but it hasn't helped that much. Now for the Cardinals, the only strength I have is leadership, veteranship. They have a lot of old people, but I mean, that's not a bad thing. They've been in tough positions before, so that could definitely help. And their weakness, I would say their starting pitching, besides Jack, they don't really have too much pitching. And now for the X Factor players, for the Braves, I have Brian McCann. For the Cards, I have Dexter Fowler. Like I said about the veteranship, they're both very experienced. Brian McCann with the Astros and Dexter Fowler with the Cubs.
Okay, I also have the Braves winning at 4 with Ronald Acuna as my MVP. I don't really think there's much of a path for the Cardinals to win this. I just think the Braves are a much more talented team. My key for the Braves is just pitching. You got to get the ball. You got to throw strikes. That's literally going to be what the Braves' MO is this postseason. Is if their guys can throw quality strikes, they can do a lot of damage this postseason and will make some teams sweat. My key for the Cardinals is Andrew Miller and Paul Goldschmidt, the 2 big contracts they did give out this postseason. Can they get back to their previous form as they had with their old teams? My strength for the Braves is just their bats. Their lineup is 1 through 8 is amazing. Obviously, the pitcher batting 9th. You got Ronald Acuna leading off. You got probably Albies batting 2nd, Freeman batting 3rd. Those 3 is just an amazing 3-headed monster. You might have Donaldson batting 4th. So yeah, I really like the Braves lineup. Their weakness is their bullpen. They did get Shane Green from the Tigers, which I do think was a good pickup, and I think he can be really good this postseason. Another guy they have is like Luke Jackson and Johnny Ventures, who's really old. I don't know why I didn't mention him. Strength and weakness for the Cardinals. I actually have starting pitching as a strength because they do have Jack Flaherty, and then they got some experience there. I don't think it's a major strength. I just think it's kind of one of their above average qualities. And their weakness is hitting the long ball. They don't hit homers. They're one of the worst teams in baseball hitting homers. And in a time where baseball is all about exit velocity, launch angle, the Cardinals don't do that, and I think that's going to kind of come to bite them in the butt. My X Factor players for the Braves was Luke Jackson. He made their most appearances out of the bullpen this year. I think he can be a really good guy to pitch in that 7th, 8th inning to set it up for Shane Green in the 9th. And for the Cardinals, it's Andrew Miller. If he can get back to his old form, I do think the Cards might have a chance there. Because with the Indians in that World Series, he was amazing. He was their Josh Hader, Taylor Rogers type of guy. On to the series that me and Ashton have been waiting for, the Twins versus the Yankees. We'll let you start it off, Lucas, if you want.
Yeah, I'll just buzz through this quick. I'll give you my predictions. I'm not even going to go for strengths and weaknesses because I'm going to get absolutely screamed at if I say a word because it's your guys' team, and I'm just going to be smart with this. I'll just say I got the Twins in 4, and their MVP for me is Miguel Sano. Sano! Sano. It's fun. Why don't you guys have fun pronouncing names?
If you want, you can go through your strengths and weaknesses. I mean, we did it with your team, so...
And for my X Factor players, which is more like the players that I think will control the series, I have Miguel Sano and Giancarlo Stanton. I think he's going to turn it around in the playoffs.
Okay.
I think that...
I'd like to see if he actually plays, because Tauchman might play in the outfield for Stanton.
From what I read, he's preparing to play.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just saying that off the dome. I don't know if that's actually true, but...
and I actually have research, so listen to me for this one.
I watch the games.
Touche. You guys go ahead. What do you got?
Ashton started off.
Okay, so obviously this is a little biased, but I got the Twins winning in 4 games, and my series MVP, Mitch Garver. I mean, you could choose anyone really, but I think it'll be Mitch Garver. I think he's going to make his name present and known to people around the world. And so now for the keys for each team for the Twins, and honestly for the Yankees too, each team needs to just get ahead early, get their bats going right away. Just partly because I'll talk about it in the strengths and weaknesses, their bullpen. And for both teams, that is basically their weakness. Their bullpen is kind of tough, or at least for the Twins, their front load of their bullpen, kind of their middle relief, can be a little bit questionable, but their back relief is definitely a strength for them, and obviously each team's offense is definitely a strength. And then the Yankees' other weakness is kind of their inconsistency with their starters. Their starters have had some very big issues, but otherwise, so now for X Factor players for the Twins, I don't know if I consider him an X Factor player. Eddie Rosario, he's been kind of on a slump this year.
In his past 13 games or so, he's been picking it up a little bit with an 1100 OPS.
Yeah, but as terms of like a fielder, I think he's been like the top 3 worst fielders this year.
He's moved to worse now in runs saved, which is horrible. It's like -17, I think.
Yeah, we need him to definitely step it up. Like, if we need a guy to gun someone out, we need him. He's probably got the best arm strength out of all the outfielders.
Yep.
And then for the Yankees, I have Aaron Hicks. I know his stats haven't been too amazing, but I mean, he's been in tough situations before, and I think he can definitely turn it around.
I think Ashton's reading my notes. I also have the Twins in 4. I'm gonna go to Game 4 if it gets there, so that'll be a fun experience for me. My MVP is Taylor Rogers. The reason being is because I feel like he'll be pivotal in these games when the Twins are ahead 1 or 2 runs. And if we put him in the 8th inning or so, I think if he shuts the door for 6 outs, that's going to be a really big for the Twins. One of my keys for the Twins is just throwing quality strikes. I don't know what their true strike percentage is this year, but I think their quality strikes is big, and then Game 3 and 4 starters must pitch well. I'm assuming it's going to be Randy Dobnik for Game 3, and I don't even know who's going to start Game 4. It might be a bullpen game where we kind of throw a guy out for 2 innings, get a guy for 3 or 4. Another thing is they got to continue winning on the road. Twins have the best road record in MLB at 55-26, which is astonishing. And then Game 1 is pivotal because Paxton is a lefty for the Yanks. That is the biggest thing, and the Twins righties are destroying lefties this year. When you get Miguel Sano, Nelson Cruz, and Mitch Garver against a lefty, they're hitting all Twins righties against lefties have a 925 OPS this year. Just for reference, there are only 6 players in the AL with an OPS higher than that, which is astonishing. And then I'm kind of short with the keys for the Yankees. Don't let Barrios get on a roll in Game 1, and then you got to keep the ball in the ballpark against the Twins. The strengths for the Twins is the long ball. That's why the Yankees got to keep it in, and then hitting with runners in scoring position. The Twins have been great. I mentioned the righty-lefty splits. It's amazing. Weaknesses, I think their experience is lacking. You have guys like Nelson Cruz who have been there before. And then their Game 3 and 4 starters, injury concerns, and their speed. Those are all things that I'm kind of concerned about. Strengths and weaknesses for the Yankees. Their strengths, long ball is another one. Hit 306 homers this year. I do think their bullpen is a big strength for them because they have Aroldis Chapman, Adam Ottavino, Zach Britton, David Robertson back there. And their depth is also really good. Having Giancarlo Stanton, who could potentially even come off the bench. You have guys like Mike Tauchman, who's been good, Aaron Hicks, Brett Gardner, Edwin Encarnacion has been great. But I do think their big weakness is their starting pitching. It's very average. They don't have a front-of-the-line starter like the Twins have in Jose Barrios. James Paxton came off injury this year. That's why he's not as good as he was in the past. And my X-Factor player for each team, the Twins, is actually C.J. Cron. He's going to get a lot of at-bats this series because he's going to be playing first the whole series, I would assume. And for the Yankees, it's Gleyber Torres. He's one of my favorite players in baseball. He's so fun to watch, and I think he can make a big impact for the Yankees.
With C.J. Cron, I just hope that ever since his thumb injury, it seems like he's kind of been on a slump. Not himself, but hopefully he can turn it around in this series.
Okay, we're moving on to the Dodgers-Nationals. Nationals did end up winning last night's game in the wild card. So, yeah. Lucas, if you want to start there, go for it.
I got the Dodgers in 5. I think the Nats have good pitching crew, and I think it's going to help them extend the series, but I don't think it's enough to win the series. I'd love to see them win the series because I feel like it's a little easier battle for the Cardinals. My series MVP for that one is Justin Turner. And we'll skip my keys and everything. My X factors. I have for starting pitchers. I have the Nats starting pitchers. What I mean to say, Strasburg and Scherzer are both, and Corbin are all really good starting pitchers. I think that's their key if they want to win this. And then obviously I say Justin Turner for the Dodgers.
Okay, so for this series, I have the Dodgers as well, but in 4 games, and then I have Cody Bellinger as my MVP. So the Dodgers don't really have any keys, just kind of get ahead early with how great the Nats pitching is, and for the Nats, try and keep it low scoring. Strength and weaknesses, Dodgers' strengths are their offense and their starting pitching, obviously. And their weakness, their bullpen tends to struggle a lot. Now for the Nats, their strengths is definitely starting pitching with Strasburg and Scherzer, but their weakness is definitely their bullpen. I think they were making trades at the deadline too. And for X Factor players for the Dodgers, I have Jock Peterson. He's not really talked about a lot with Cody Bellinger. And then for the Nats, I have Kurt Suzuki, veteran presence in that lineup.
I actually have the Nationals winning this series. I was telling Ashton earlier that I have a surprise for him. This is that surprise. I have them winning in 5. My series MVP is Anthony Rendon. My keys for the LA Dodgers is don't let Anthony Rendon and Juan Soto catch fire, which is I'm obviously predicting happens. These two are 2 of the best hitters in baseball, no doubt about it. And I think another key for the Dodgers is capitalizing the Nationals' weak bullpen. The keys for the Nationals is the bullpen. They got to get the job done. And the starting pitching needs to be great. It needs to be elite to beat a team like the Dodgers. And then also Rendon and Soto need to take over and continue their second half hot streak. For the Dodgers, their strengths and weaknesses. Their strength, I believe, is starting pitching and lineup depth. They can do a lot with their lineup, be very versatile, and their starting pitching. You guys got guys like Walker Buehler, Hyun-Jin Ryu, who I'm assuming is going to start Game 2, and Kershaw, who I'm assuming is going to start Game 3. But their weaknesses is their bullpen this year. It hasn't been as good as the last 2 years where they made the World Series, and they don't have as much star power in their lineup because Justin Turner is kind of declining. Max Muncy isn't, I think, at his peak yet, and Cody Bellinger is really their only superstar player in that lineup, but I do think their depth is amazing. Strengths for the Nationals, their big 3.5 at starting pitcher. I think that Corbin, Strasburg, and Scherzer are all elite starting pitchers, and then they have Anibal Sanchez as their fourth starter, who I actually think is a very quality starter. And then another strength is another big three is their bats. You got Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Anthony Rendon. How do the Dodgers stop that is a big question here. I think another strength for them is their defense. I have Victor Robles winning the Platinum Glove. He's in center field for the Nationals, so I'm actually really excited to see that kind of take place. And then their weaknesses, I put in all caps, bullpen. That's their one weakness of this team that could either bite them in the butt or it could win them some games. My X Factor players, for the Dodgers, I have Gavin Lux. I've talked about him before. He's a young stud. He's great to watch. He's got all the tools to be a great player in this league. It's just, can he put it together so early because he is such a young player that got called up. And Nationals, it's Sean Doolittle. He's probably their best reliever in the bullpen back there. He's having a horrible year this year compared to his previous years where he's been actually really good. So he needs to turn it around and be a key factor for the series. On to the Astros versus whoever wins tonight, which will be the A's versus the Rays. Whoever wants to start?
I'll go first. Mine's going to be really quick. Astros in 3, I don't care who it is. I think their team's too good. I think the Astros look amazing coming into the postseason, personally. Series MVP, I got Springer. Key for the Stros, all I'm going to say is they got to play smart and play solid. Don't want to get caught making a stupid mistake because you think you have it in the bag, but I personally think they have it in the bag. X Factors, Altuve and Springer, both very good players. That's all I got for you guys.
I also have the Astros in 3 games. I think the A's will win tonight, so they'll be beating the A's in 3 games, and I think the MVP will be Jose Altuve. So the keys for each team, the Astros, I would say offense needs to do work. Don't just rely on star pitching to carry your way through. And then for the A's, you got to somehow get that starting pitching out of the game right away. Just wear them out. Make at-bats last long. So strengths and weaknesses for the Astros. Strengths, they do about everything right. I don't really know weakness. They don't do wrong, so I have no weaknesses for them. For the strengths and weaknesses for the A's, for the strengths, I don't really have like a solid strength. I think they're all around average in each area. That's what I think their weaknesses. They don't really have star power, and that'll hurt them. And for the X Factor players, for the Astros, I have Carlos Correa, and then for the A's, assuming they win tonight, I have Chris Davis.
I also Astros in 3. I don't think there's really much to be said about that. When you have Verlander, Cole, and Greinke going games 1, 2, and 3, how can you even bet against that? My series MVP is George Springer. He'll probably be playing mostly center, so he's having an amazing year. I have him as a Silver Slugger. My key for the Astros is simply just stay consistent. Don't get on a cold streak offensively, and their pitching needs to be just what it is. They just need to be themselves. They'll win the series easily. My key for whoever will be the wild card team is just find a way to hit that starting pitching. When you can hit Garrett Cole, if you can tune in Garrett Cole, then you can. I mean, he'll let up some runs if you start getting in his head. I do feel like whatever team does make it out of the wild card game does have a fighting chance against Garrett Cole. My strength and weaknesses of the Astros, I put their strength is starting pitching in the top of that lineup. The top of the lineup, George Springer, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Yuli Gurriel, Alex Bregman. I didn't even mention him. I don't know how I couldn't. So their top of the lineup is amazing, and their starting pitching, I mentioned that. The weakness I did put is the bottom of their lineup. You got guys like Robinson Chirinos down there and possibly Josh Reddick, which, I mean, could be a concern. Probably won't be, though. I just kind of had to find a weakness. I forgot to mention earlier at the top of the lineup, Yordan Alvarez, my rookie of the year. My strength and weaknesses for each wildcard team. I just think that both teams are very similar. They're both crafty teams. So I think that is a strength of them, and they both have decent starting pitching. I think a weakness of each of them is just kind of their lineup star power isn't there. You got guys like Matt Chapman for the A's, but that's really their only star for each team.
For my postseason predictions, I got the A's beating the Rays for that wild card game, and then obviously I know the Nationals won, so I had the Nationals. In the Twins-Yankees matchup, I have the Twins. In the Astros-Athletics matchup, I have the Astros. In the Dodgers-Nationals, I could see the Nationals win, but I do have the Dodgers. Cardinals-Braves, I have the Cardinals for sure. Cardinals-Dodgers, Cardinals win.
This is another one of those points in the podcast where I call Lucas stupid.
Bias.
Yeah, but that's fine. We're all biased a little bit.
But when it happens, you guys can all... Good idea to interrupt me there. Twins and Astros, I have the Astros winning that one. And then I have the Cardinals over the Astros committing another scandal like they did a couple years ago.
Okay, so for my postseason bracket, obviously the Nats one. I chose them anyways. So and then for the AL wildcard, I have the A's beating the Rays. And now we'll start with the AL Twins Yankees. I have the Twins winning. Astros A's. I have the Astros winning. Now the NL. Dodgers Nats. I have the Dodgers winning, and then Cardinals Braves. I have the Braves winning. AL Twins Astros. I have the Astros making it to the World Series, and then Dodgers Braves. I have the Braves actually making it to the World Series, and then in the World Series I have the Astros winning in 6 games.
Okay, now we're going to be going over my postseason predictions. Starting in the NL, obviously the Nationals won the wild card game. I do have the Nationals beating the Dodgers, and then I have the Braves beating the Cardinals. So for that, going to the AL, I have the A's beating the Rays. And then I have the Astros beating the A's in the division series, and the Twins beating the Yankees in the division series, making my final 4 being the Twins, Astros, Braves, and Nationals. I have the Nationals upsetting the Braves again. I think the Nationals are going to go on a good run here. Then I have the Astros beating the Twins in a close series. And then I also have the Astros beating the Nationals in what will probably be around a 4-game series. And yeah, I mean, that's really all we got to talk about today. It's been a great podcast. I think it was really a good idea to have this as a playoff special. I think it was very warranted. So
We'll do that for more sports as they come.
Yep.
NBA, NFL, maybe NHL,
Probably not hockey.
maybe hockey.
Yeah, so make sure you guys follow the Instagram at the Sports Enthusiast, Twitter at SportsENTPod. Anything you guys would like to say?
Thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.